Hey, what's up? Cillian from Fotosoc here. What you're about to watch is a vlog I recorded back in November. DCU Karting Society reached out to Fotosoc looking for 2 photographers for their first karting trip of the year. Now, I'd never shot motorsport before, and I thought it would be a good learning experience, and so I decided to document the trip and make a tutorial out of it. Now, this is kind of going to be structured like a tutorial sandwich with vlog bread at the top and bottom. So if you want to skip straight to the tutorial, there's going to be timestamps down below. First, let's talk gear. Inside my stylish Canon photography bag is of course a Nikon camera, the Nikon Z50. For lenses, I brought the Sigma 18-35 f1.8 for wides and a Nikon 85mm f1.8 for portraits. Those two are mine, but then I also brought the Tamron 70-200 2.8 for long distance shots, and that was the lens I ended up using the most. That one was on loan. I brought my tripod and a little mini tripod just in case. To film the vlog, I brought a DJI Osmo Pocket, and finally there were some odd bits and bobs. Now, is all of this overkill for this kind of shoot? Yes. You absolutely do not need to go this hard for an unpaid college gig. I really believe that there are very few gigs that you couldn't pull off with an entry-level DSLR and the free kit lens. However, when it comes to motorsport photography, the kit lens simply isn't going to give you the reach you need. Luckily, just about every camera manufacturer has a cheap telephoto kit lens that you could get secondhand for like €100 or less if you can find a good deal. One of those lenses was the first lens I ever bought, and it's been indispensable throughout my photography career. And that sounds so pretentious. I ain't had a career. You could replace my whole kit here with cheaper alternatives. Even a cheap bridge camera could do the job, but I think that'll be a bit difficult.
What's up, everybody?
I met up with Oisin, the chair of the Karting Society, at the Helix in DCU, and we boarded the coach. After a disastrous attempt to get everyone on the bus to look at me for a group photo, we were on our way. I spent the next hour or so trying to avoid eye contact and forget about what had just happened, and before I knew it, we had arrived. Fionn had made his own way, which was probably the more sensible choice.
The main camera, the 1D, the 70-300, the 85, the 35, my OM10, the Tron, I know, shoot it on film, lenses for that, a flash for each camera.
We chatted with a friendly drone man who was happy to show us his mad drone skills.
Oh shit.
We set up on a verge beside the final turn and took some test shots during the practice laps. Before long, the races were underway. There was just one small problem.
This is boring.
Cars, and especially go-karts, look really slow on camera, which means we're going to have to use some camera trickery to make this look more exciting. Now I know what you're thinking. You're a photographer. This ain't your first rodeo. Taking pictures of a fast subject means you use a fast shutter speed to freeze the action. The problem is, using a fast shutter speed freezes all the action. The go-kart, the wheels, the background, everything, which leads to this. The go-kart looks like it's just sitting there, not moving at all. So here's the idea. Use a slower shutter speed and pan the camera to match the speed of the go-kart as it goes by. If you do this correctly, the go-kart and driver will be sharp, but the wheels and background will be blurred, giving the impression of speed. Look at the difference between these two photos. Now for the setup. Pick a stretch of road to limit your pan to. Set the camera to continuous autofocus and burst shooting. Anticipate when a kart is about to enter your frame and start your pan. Once you build up to the right speed, keep the pan smooth and consistent and start your burst. When you reach the end of your burst, smoothly wind down your pan and follow through, and then snap back to your starting position for the next kart. Do this again and again and again, dialing in the shutter speed and adjusting the speed of your pan until you get the perfect shot. This is going to take a lot of practice. This was my first time shooting cars of any kind, and at the start of the day I was missing the vast majority of my shots. It's important to not get frustrated and to just try to have fun and keep trying. I'm going to go through a few issues I ran into and hopefully provide some tips on how you could avoid these if you're in a similar situation. Shutter speed. It took me a while to find the ideal shutter speed. My first batch of photos were taken at 1/1000 or 1/2000 of a second, which gives you that stationary card effect that we want to avoid, but it allowed me to focus on my panning speed, my focus, and my composition. Most of my keepers were taken between 1/200th and 1/60th of a second, which seemed to give a nice amount of background blur. Focus. I was struggling a little bit with focus at the beginning. When shooting moving subjects, it's a good idea to use continuous autofocus. I tried using single point focus for a while, but it just wasn't quick enough to keep up with the go-karts. Eventually, I just decided to let the camera do all the work and set it to auto area autofocus. In this mode, the camera tries to determine what the subject is automatically, and I found that the camera actually did an amazing job. Its autofocus capabilities in video mode, on the other hand... Come on, camera. Focus! Oh Jesus, you're kidding me. Stabilization. While panning, it's important to keep your camera perfectly level throughout the duration of the movement. Otherwise, it'll introduce vertical motion blur, which will make the kart blurry as well as the background. Most pro sports lenses will have a sports option in their stabilization settings, which only stabilizes the vertical axis, allowing for free panning side to side. The Tamron 70-200 I was using did not have this option, and I found its only stabilization mode unusable. My viewfinder was bouncing all over the place, and I just couldn't keep the karts in frame no matter how hard I tried. Fionn was using his tripod as a monopod, which allowed him to keep his camera level while panning. Unfortunately, I was using my tripod to get important shots like this. All I can say is that if you're freehanding, try to keep a strong, stable grip on your camera and take a wide stance. Try to rotate your whole upper body while panning and avoid any sharp movements. Fences. A lot of motorsport photography is going to involve shooting through high fences. With a fast telephoto lens, you can blur the fence out to the point that it's almost invisible, but for some shots you might want to experiment with using the fence in your composition. I'm quite proud of this one, for example. And remember, by making your photo black and white, you can turn noise and blurriness into an intentional artistic decision. Mwah. That's art.
Morning, low gang was popping.
It's Baltic.
It is.
My hands are numb. My hands, they're purple.
Well, it is November. I should have realized that.
We're experiencing a lot of downtime.
Yep.
So I'm gonna go birding. I'll be right back. We stayed on the side of the track for a while longer, offering the occasional words of encouragement.
He's fun on the opening lap. How do you do that? You suck.
He's on the wrong track, man. The fuck's he going? There he goes. Now you're on the right track. I got you, number 20. We decided to switch up our vantage point and stood on a balcony overlooking the pit lane and the final straight.
It is food time.
The cold was really starting to become a problem.
See, I really can't even open it. I can barely chew.
Fotosoc, you for making us do this. Next, we set up next to the finish line. At this point in the day, I felt I could really relate to this guy. I'd filled up my memory card and I hadn't brought a spare. Not only did Fionn let me borrow one of his, but he also found gloves. Fionn was able to get us gloves.
It was a good shout as well.
Yeah, these are great. Fionn moved on to another location, but I decided to hang back at the finish line. I had an image in my head that I wanted to capture of a kart with its front tyres just perfectly touching the finish line. took almost 100 shots from this angle, just trying to nail the perfect moment.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
As the day started to wind down, I was able to get a couple of dramatic shots under warm sunset lighting. As we got to the last couple of races, Fionn had one last thing he wanted to try.
I've filled up 2 memory cards. And literally with my last picture, he just hit that man. Jesus Christ, there's like, one of the guys went literally just into the field like halfway. With my last picture I tried out 1/15th and it's actually quite hot and Cillian's trying it out now.
What are your opinions on
Oh, you're vlogging?
1/15th? I am.
Oh, 1/15th has potential.
Uh-huh.
If I'd known about it earlier, I might have been a bit better at it.
It is difficult though.
I mean, somebody's looking okay.
As it turned out, 1/15th was quite hot, but it was extremely difficult to maintain a good pan on such a low shutter speed. Out of all the shots I took, I only got one that was even half passable, and even then you can see that the driver was moving as I was taking the shot, and so they were a little blurry, but I know just the thing for that. Much better. And with that, our day of shooting was over. Me and Fionn said our goodbyes, and I got on the coach back home to Dublin. So yeah, that's about it. Thanks for watching. And be sure to follow myself, Fionn and Fotosoc on Instagram. I'll have all the links down below.